Hi there, Fiona Pearman and Kate Boorer, joining you today where we've been unpacking tactical versus transformational leadership. We've talked about the difference between these two, why we tend to default to tactics and the limitations of that. And this week we're going to explore how to really embrace transformational leadership from an individual perspective. And I think the first piece we always start with when we're looking at the difference and what's going on is to really think about our own self-awareness, to understand ourselves, what's going on for us. This is really the work we do in our Acts of Confidence program. We really encourage people to go much deeper than the surface level. There's lots of things going on. There's lots of reasons why we think things are happening. But in our experience, there's always a much deeper layer. And it's these things, it's the roadblocks that exist that are sometimes unknown or unconscious to us that are actually getting in the way of this shift from something being a tactical thing to do to it actually being something I can do. And that's the transformational difference.
Yeah, I think we've all found ourselves in, training development programs, often at very inconvenient times. And so to really show up and be 100% present is hard, right? Like we really acknowledge that. And our ability to do that, we see it time and time again when we're facilitating rooms. The opportunity and the transformation that happens when people just give themselves permission to really be there, to put other distractions, priorities to the side just for the time, right? We're in room just for the time that we're digging into some of these conversations. And the opportunity, the dots that get joined, because someone's really present and willing to have the courage often to dig into what's going on for me in context of the conversation, in context of the skill or the context that we are having, right? The conversation we're having, what is really present for me if I'm really honest with myself, if I'm really courageous enough to dig in and to understand, yes, there's this strategy, this process, this frame of how I can go, for example, about having a courageous conversation, and then be willing to go to that next level and going, what's going on for me? Yes, maybe some of the strategies and the methodology is really helpful. There's no question that's helpful. And in many reasons, that's not what's stopping us from having those sorts of conversations. So our willingness to shine a light on some of these things that are stopping us, that's where the magic happens, right? That's where if we can see it, we can start to do something about it. We can actually go into a conversation to be able to unpack what's happening, and then most importantly, figure out how am I going to navigate through and around this. And it's that next level, it's those next steps that is what truly makes a leadership development program from, I would say, a very clinical experience to something that happens to us, about us, and allows us to really truly step in to do something differently and have a different experience.
Yeah. I think the opportunity, the piece here that we see time and time again, that's a big differentiator, is the ability to become your own best coach. When you want to understand yourself differently, when you want to see what's going on beneath the surface, we've got to get good at asking ourselves some really maybe difficult questions, maybe challenging questions, because when we lean into that, when we start to unpack what's going on at those deeper levels through those good questions, we see things that weren't apparent before. And I think this helps us. Reflection's really important, looking back at times when things worked and didn't work, starting to understand what happened there. When we set goals and we notice what comes up, the immediate kind of pushback, oh, I don't want to set that big goal, it feels too big for me. Again, not making that wrong, but just being willing to ask, why does that feel like it's something I should be able to do, or I feel like I do actually want to go for it, but there's something that stands in the way. And as we ask these good questions, and certainly in our book, Core Confidence, at the end of each chapter, we purposefully put these self-coaching questions there because we know how powerful it is that when we can see the connection between some pieces that were previously hidden, we actually do something different. We are willing to take that action step and to try something. And again, not trying to do it perfectly, but just be willing to give it a go, take an action step and learn from that.
Yeah, I think, the real leverage comes when we're able to take a conversation we have in a room with leadership facilitators, with our colleagues, and then be able to apply that. But most of those opportunities happen in the moment, right? Not when you've got colleagues sitting next to you, not when you've got leadership facilitators that you can ask questions to. Most of those opportunities happen when you're in a meeting room, when you are opposite a stakeholder, where you're confronted with some challenges. And so your ability to be able to leverage the experience of being in a program and being in that conversation, and then continue to apply, to recognize in the moment maybe some things that are going on, and then still having the courage to have a go at doing something imperfectly, is where we continue to see, the return on investment of leadership development happen across the entire workplace experience. And so becoming your own best coach, I always say we don't apply things, we don't implement because we don't want to or we don't see value in it, right? So many organizations we work with, their people are crying out for more leadership development, right? They really want it. And the frustration of many HR and learning departments is the lack of follow through, the lack of application. It is not in most cases because people don't want to. Often it's they're busy, or they in the moment, they're not present to, oh, that's right, we had that conversation. This is an opportunity for me to be able to apply this, to practice this, to see the impact and the outcome of something that I've learned. And so this self-coaching capability allows all of those things to be present, not perfectly and not in every moment, but allows those things to be present, and importantly allows the individual to take advantage of that opportunity to importantly take what we call small acts of confidence, right? To do something that is new, to have an experience of that, to get some feedback around what went well, what didn't go so well, and then to be able to learn from that experience and apply that capability again.
I think the other thing we want to flag that we know is really important in the difference here is learning from and with other people, leveraging community support. That's why being in group coaching, in group programs is so incredibly powerful. It really draws on our acts of confidence number 4, which is ask for help. And starting to understand that when I'm in a room full of other people with a similar experience, which is why we do women-only leadership programs, because the lived experience of the women in the room is very similar. Suddenly, I'm able to breathe out and go, oh my goodness, I'm not alone. This is something other people are struggling with. The roadblocks I've got, the internal belief systems, the ideas I've got about what's permissible and what's not. All of these pieces are shared amongst us. And then collectively, we're willing to go and do something and try a new avenue, a new way of being in the world, because we've got the support of those people around us. And it's something very purposeful in design and delivery of these programs that means I'm not required to do this just as an individual on my own. I've actually got a whole ecosystem around me that's supporting me. I've got the facilitators who are backing me. I've got my colleagues and friends who are there. I've got my peer groups. I've got my leaders involved. And when we've got that support network, that community, it changes everything, because I'm willing to take action, see what happens, and learn from the experience.
Yeah, and if you're in a program where, those elements like buddy groups, buddy accountability groups, or catch-ups are not, part of the program design, create them for yourself, right? Go and find someone who you connected with, who shared something that was really powerful for you. Follow up with them, connect with them, ask them to be an accountability buddy. You can create a lot of this for yourself if you're willing to put yourself out there. Other thing I will really just encourage is, and to really leverage people around you to get feedback. When we think about becoming your own best coach, that is a skill that is learned and developed over time, leveraging the support of other people, their feedback, to be able to support and help you grow and develop. Equally, leveraging that to help grow and you develop your own self-awareness, because there will inevitably be things that you can't see. And so when we can, with courage, ask particularly trusted supporters within our world that says, hey, I'm working on this, and I'm going to have a go, and I'm not going to get it right for sure. And I'd really love your support to give me some feedback around how things will land, maybe how they won't land, but equally what I could do differently. I think really, often these are things that are available to all of us on our own leadership development journey. The difference is just whether we're willing to put ourselves out there and to make this a priority. And I think we see it time and time again. People go through our programs, they describe it in their words as transformational. The difference isn't the program. The difference isn't us, right? The difference is how they're willing to show up. Of course, we provide a ton of framework that is what we would say different to, standard leadership development programs. We lean in to the roadblocks. We lean in to imperfect action, and a lot of the learning design and methodology is designed to support them. And all our participants have that same experience. The people that walk out and describe it as a transformational experience is because of what they've been willing to do as part of that journey.
We'll leave it there. If you enjoyed this week's Facebook Live, share it with a friend or colleague. Follow us on the page for more of these sessions, and you can head over to our YouTube channel where there are literally hundreds of videos around this and other topics. And when you're ready to go deeper with your relationship with core confidence, you can head to our website, coreconfidence.com.au.